While Stevie Wonder and Marvin Gaye dominated the 1970s spotlight, an army of R&B soul bands made timeless records without getting crowned. Today we're counting down 12 famous but underrated groups, from deep-cut legends to the final name you'll replay all week. Coming in at number 12, the Crown Heights Affair. Again on down. Dreamin' a Dream hit in 1975, but it's the kind of record that keeps getting rediscovered. Technically, it's disco soul done right. 4 on the floor kick, tight hi-hat subdivisions, and a bass line that pushes against the kick instead of mirroring it. Then you get the money layer, brass and strings arranged like hooks, with short repeated figures that answer the vocal line. The history note: after an early RCA start, the band's 1975 movie To Delight lined them up with dance floor specialists, and this single went to number 1 on the US dance chart, while also crossing over on the Hot 100. Come on and dance, you got the chance, come on and dance, you got the chance, come on and dance, come on and dance. Anecdote-wise, it later became a sampling magnet in hip-hop and dance edits. Proof the groove is engineered so clean, you can loop it forever. And the arrangement still breathes with 0 wasted seconds. Ever. At number 11, Brick were literally built from a disco band and a jazz band in Atlanta. So their song, Dazz, Disco Jazz, wasn't branding, it was their origin story. The track runs a steady dance grid, but the harmony feels jazzier. Horn stabs voiced wide, quick chromatic movement, and a breakdown that leaves space for a flute line to shine. The pocket is engineered for crossover, bass stays elastic. Guitar chops accent the offbeats, and the vocals ride the groove in unison, so the hook lands like a chant. Here's the fun bit. The title is a math equation, disco plus jazz, and it worked. Dazz hit number 1 on the US R&B chart and crossed to the pop top 3, which is wild for a record that keeps an instrumental solo front and center. And they didn't stop there. Dusik proved the formula wasn't a fluke, just a blueprint for them either. If you remember hearing Dazz on the radio back then, say Dazzy in the comments. And if you didn't, tell me what decade you discovered it. Number 10 goes to Slave, straight out of Dayton, Ohio. One of the most important funk cities nobody talks about enough. Their 1977 debut single, Slide, is a masterclass in pocket, recorded for Cotillion with a mix that keeps the low end loud but clean. The groove sits slightly behind the beat, kick lands firm, bass leans back, and guitar chops act like extra hi-hats, making the rhythm feel wide without getting messy. There's also smart structure. Chant-style vocals keep the hook simple, while the band uses fills and brass hits to refresh the loop every few bars. On paper, it's a dance record. In practice, it's arrangement discipline. It hit number 1 on Billboard's R&B chart and climbed into the Hot 100, then got reborn decades later through hip-hop sampling and soundtrack placements. It was cut at Century Sound in Sayreville, New Jersey, not Dayton. But with the next bands, the songwriting gets smoother, the chord choices get sneakier, and the hooks start sounding like they were engineered in a lab. Sliding in at number 9, LTD. If you only know one song, it's probably Every Time I Turn Around, Back in Love Again. But the interesting part is how they pulled it off. LTD started as a working band in Greensboro, North Carolina. then leveled up into a polished soul machine once they landed on A&M. This record is built like a perfect radio romance, a warm lead vocal, harmonies that feel like a choir behind the steering wheel, and a groove that stays steady so the hook can do its job. The fun story is that the band became a launchpad too. Jeffrey Osborne didn't just sing. His voice became the brand, and it helped set up his solo run later. People remember the chorus, but they forget LTD were a full band with serious catalog depth, not a one-night slow jam. At number 8, Blue Magic. Sideshow is one of those songs that feels like a full movie in 3 minutes. Blue Magic came out of Philly's soul scene, and they had that classic street corner harmony sound, smooth, emotional, and super precise.
See the man with the bro.
The story behind Sideshow is what makes it unforgettable. It's basically a heartbreak speech, but delivered like a gentleman who's trying not to fall apart. Even the way the group sings the lines feels like a conversation. One voice leads, the others react, like friends backing you up. They were signed to Atco, and Sideshow became their calling card.
Guaranteed to make you cry.
But the group never got the same long-term mainstream flowers as other vocal groups of the era. That's why they fit this list. Widely respected, rarely celebrated loud enough, and still ridiculously replayable. Number 7 goes to the main ingredient.
Okay, so you're heartbroken.
Everybody knows Everybody Plays the Fool, but not everyone knows how long this group had been grinding before that moment. They started in New York in the 1960s, went through lineup changes, and then hit their cleanest era in the early 1970s when Cuba Gooding Sr. became the lead voice.
Everybody plays the fool.
The song itself is timeless because it's honest without being bitter. More, learn the lesson than burn it all down. The interesting part is how the record became bigger than a typical hit. It turned into a phrase people say in real life, and it kept getting revived on oldies radio for decades because the message never aged. But most people treat them like a single-song group, when their run had real consistency and a lot more quality than the headlines ever gave them.
No exception to the rule. Listen, babe.
But these next groups stop being just nostalgic and start sounding like the blueprint for half the soul and R&B that came after. Crashing in at number 6, The Manhattans.
Because of my obligations in the
Most people know Kiss and Say Goodbye, but the story behind it is why it hits so hard. The Manhattans were already a seasoned vocal group long before that massive 1976 breakthrough, but this song turned them into a household name almost overnight.
We've been meeting here.
It's basically a short drama, a man confessing he's ending an affair and choosing his family. That concept was bold for radio because it wasn't a fantasy love song, it was uncomfortable truth. The group's lead delivery made it work, calm, controlled, almost like he's trying to keep emotions from spilling over. And the record's success was real. It dominated R&B.
Understand me, won't you try?
R&B and crossed over huge, becoming one of the defining ballads of the decade. What makes them underrated is that people treat them like that one legendary song, when their catalog has multiple smooth gems that kept the same grown-up storytelling style. At number 5, The Dramatics.
I'm made of plastic.
You know something.
Their name wasn't a joke. The Dramatics came out of Detroit with that gritty, emotional edge, and In the Rain is the perfect example. The song doesn't just describe heartbreak, it puts you inside it. The interesting anecdote is how that track became one of the most sampled and reused soul records in hip-hop and modern R&B.
It's what you get, what you see, it's what
Because the mood is so clear and the vocals are so expressive. But their other big cut, What You See Is What You Get, shows their range. It's more confident, more street smart, and it still sounds modern because the message is timeless. They were consistent across the decade, yet they rarely get placed in the same top-tier conversations as groups with similar impact. They're the definition of underrated, respected by music heads, but not celebrated loudly enough by the mainstream. Which one are you picking? In the Rain or What You See Is What You Get? Type the title in the comments because I want to see which side wins. Number 4 goes to the Chillites. If you've ever heard Oh Girl, you know how instantly it grabs you. Soft voice, pleading tone, and a melody that feels like it's been around forever. The Chillites were special because they didn't only sing about love. They also had songs that felt like real life.
Have you seen her? Tell me, have you seen her?
Especially in the early 1970s when social issues were right outside the front door. They were also more involved in shaping their own sound than many people realize. This wasn't just a group being written for. They were huge in their time. But in modern rankings, they often get pushed behind flashier acts, even though their influence on smooth vocal harmony and emotional storytelling is obvious.
Only she can set me free. Have you seen her?
Their records still sound clean, sincere, and grown. No gimmicks, just quality. And now it's top 3, the bands that were shaping the sound that everybody else tried to copy afterward. At number 3, Average White Band. They're the ultimate wait. They're from Where? Story. Because AWB were a Scottish band who somehow nailed American funk soul so well that a lot of listeners assumed they were from the States. Their signature is Pick Up the Pieces, 1974. A song that doesn't need lyrics because the horns are the chorus. It's built like a clean conversation. The rhythm section lays a steady runway. Then the horns step in with a hook you can hum after one listen. The cool behind-the-scenes angle is how hard they work to sound authentic, touring constantly, tightening their live feel, and recording with top-tier producers and musicians around them. They also had real tragedy in their story. Their founding drummer, Robbie McIntosh, died in Los Angeles in September 1974 after an accidental drug overdose, right as the band's momentum was exploding.
One more time.
But they kept going and became one of the tightest grooves bands of the decade. Underrated because people treat them like one instrumental hit when the catalog is way deeper. Number 2 goes to Tower of Power.
I feel so bad, yeah.
If you've ever heard a horn section and thought, that's the sound, there's a good chance Tower of Power helped write the rulebook. They came out of Oakland and made soul funk that feels athletic, sharp, clean, and perfectly timed.
I could never make you unhappy.
What is hip isn't just a song, it's a statement. The horns punch like punctuation. The bass never gets lazy, and the groove stays locked like a train on rails. The underrated part is that they became a secret weapon for other stars too. Members and their horn sound have been used in sessions and live shows for huge artists, even when the average listener doesn't realize it. They're famous to musicians, but strangely overlooked in greatest bands conversations. If your ears love precision and energy without noise, this is top shelf. Coming in at number 1, the Bar-Kays. Their story is bigger than the hits. The Bar-Kays were originally tied to Otis Redding as a backing band, and the group was hit by tragedy in the 1967 plane crash, an event that could have ended everything. Instead, the survivors rebuilt and later became one of the most reliable funk soul hit machines of the 1970s. Too Hot to Stop is the perfect example of why they're underrated. It's joyful, sharp, and structured, so the hook keeps returning before you can drift. They could do gritty, they could do polished, they could do dance floor loud without losing their identity. And here's the key. They didn't just survive history, they made it, then quietly got filed under party funk when their musicianship and resilience deserve way more respect. If you enjoyed this countdown, hit like and subscribe for more soul and R&B deep dives that bring the stories back to life. And when you're done here, I've got the perfect follow-up. My next video digs into a dozen forgotten 1974 one-hit wonders you seriously need to hear.